Hey, Andrew, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Brian, thanks for having me. So my name's Andrew Freem. I work for a company called Park Place Technologies. Been in technology sales since 2014, which was actually my senior year of college. I started out as an intern with Park Place. It was my first real sales job, and I've been in the role since. I'm sorry. Can we restart?
Yep, keep going.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were trying to tell me something.
No, I was just looking at your profile.
Oh, okay. So sorry.
The audio did change there. Did you do something?
I haven't done anything, no.
Okay. Just be conscious of not touching the table and stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair.
Otherwise, the camera goes up and down and stuff.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that.
Ready?
Yep, good.
Hey, Andrew, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, give us a little background on yourself.
Brian, thanks for having me. So my name's Andrew Freem. I work for a company called Park Place Technologies. I started working for them back in 2014, which was actually my senior year of college at the University of Cincinnati. Started as an intern in business development. I was calling for the new region within Park Place, which was the Denver Western region. It was kind of the Wild Wild West back then. But they offered me a gig, that Christmas, and they offered me the opportunity to move to Denver. So I've been a quota bearing sales rep since 2016.
Wow! But you studied finance in college?
I was a finance major. Yep. They had no idea that technology sales would be something that I would get into.
Yeah. What was it like the first year?
Pretty interesting. I mean, as a 21, 22-year-old kid, I was calling multi-billion-dollar corporations and talking to IT directors, VPs, managers, people that are way smarter than I am. And I was able to schedule a meeting with them. Yeah. It really is a very, very interesting, fun part of the job, I think.
And were these inbound or was it cold outbound?
It was cold calling.
Wow.
So I literally, when I started, I was literally calling out of the College of Business because I was the only place that had good enough internet to make cold calls. Yeah. And it was all outbound sales.
And how did that feel, or how did you?
I think starting at a young age, I think that helped with my confidence level quite a bit.
Helped?
You know? Oh yeah.
You didn't know any better.
getting over that hump, that I was a finance major. I'm not a techie person, but being able to tell you what we do and, in a succinct type way, answer an objection or two. And then, really the goal of that was to schedule a 10 to 15 minute call. And then from there, see the sales process go. I mean, it tells me, that especially that early on, that I could call anyone.
And no fear, no apprehension, no sensitivity?
I still have a little bit of fear sometimes. I mean, it's, so I think sometimes we, at least I go speak for myself, get a little bit comfortable, what you're doing, and rejection is always something that I have on my mind. But I think it's making that dial, getting over the hump, calling that cell phone, knowing that you might be invading somebody's quote unquote, personal space, but being able to diffuse that situation early on in the conversation is what you have to do, I think.
How long did it take to get comfortable with it, or have you become comfortable with it?
Comfortable with cold calling, or?
Yeah, that part. I mean, that's the hardest part,
So I think being comfortable with cold calling, it only took a month. I mean, It didn't take that long.
Yeah.
No, I think what I mean by getting comfortable though is there's a lot of different ways that you can reach out to somebody. There's, at least in our business, we have a lot of phone numbers, and some of those phone numbers, they go straight to voicemail, or that they're not going to be calling. So it's trying to figure out either how to get that cell phone number, to calling through the switchboard, or something to actually get a hold of that person.
Yeah. And did you have a particular pitch, approach, questions,
It
style?
kind of depends on who you're talking to. I think, even though they're harder to get a hold of, the best conversations are with the VPs, IT, directors, senior director, type persons. I kind of think about, they might not answer your phone call a lot, but if they do, they know that they answered a cold call. They know how to do good business, and they're going to at least hear, your initial pitch. And I think, with them, I always try to let them know, that I want to respect their time, because I know that I am calling them out of the blue. And I think that kind of goes back, or it kind of comes back to how I want to present myself as a salesperson. Whether that's you talk about a personal brand, a lot. And I don't want to, if an IT director or VP, genuinely accidentally picked up my phone call, but they had a meeting that they had to run to, I don't want to be that salesperson that, forces them to stay on the phone with me for another, 2 minutes and then be pissed off. And then I'll never, and then they might not want to have my phone call again. So
Yeah.
I think there's a level of, what brand or what persona, do I want to leave, with the customers and prospects.
And what do you like about sales the most?
The hunt.
Yeah.
I've got a good example. So I've been, my sales territory is the San Francisco Bay Area. So very, very fun, cool companies, cool technology companies that you're calling into. There's a particular company that I've been calling into for 5 years. And most recently, the director kind of told me to eat rocks in November, December. Gave him a call just a couple weeks ago. Takes my call. We just had a meeting earlier this week and identified a potential opportunity. So I think having the patience to be there, either when the time is right, still being, respectfully persistent. That win is what makes it all worth it.
Yeah. And where's that come from? Was that something that you grew up with, or something that's you just discovered, or?
I think my dad has been in sales for a number of years. He's been in sales since the early 90s in the same industry, not technology, but I think I definitely, learned a lot from him, and how he's dealt, with his clients and different vendors that he's worked with.
Yeah. And how about the other parts of the sales process? How have you learned them, become better at them?
So, and I assume, regarding sales support and
No, well, you get that first conversation, which turns into some kind of demo, some kind of technical sale, business sale.
Yep. So, I think utilizing your resources is paramount to a successful sales cycle. I rarely go into a call, by myself. And I think I'm the first person to tell the prospect or customer that I am not the product expert or the SME. They know that I'm not, this technical person. So yes, knowing who to bring into a meeting, at certain points in time, whether it's a VP or whether it's, a pre-sales solution architect or somebody who is actually delivering, the service. But I think the only way that you really know that, at least in regards to Park Place and my company, yes, you're taught kind of how and where to reach out, but it's even more important for you to kind of figure it out for yourself. So what we do is we provide IT infrastructure support services. So we're working with, best of the best engineers, from Cisco or NetApp or Dell EMC, et cetera. So being able to call those people that work for Park Place that know what they do, the best, and hearing that from them, I think it makes me more confident in my messaging, to the customer, but then also, knowing that they're going to be available, or that they're willing to be available, to hop in, if they need, during the course of the sales cycle.
Because it's probably too hard to learn enough to hold that hour long.
Very much. Oh yeah. I mean, we're getting into nuts and bolts of code and hardware and log files, and that's not my expertise.
But I guess in that marketplace, the natural reaction they will have is to try and commoditize you, right?
Yes, that happens all the time.
Yeah, we've got somebody, we do it ourselves. Whatever.
It's one of the examples, and it's a company based. They had an operation here in Colorado, and one of our primary competitors, our major competitors, owned the contract with them, and we did get an opportunity to bid on the contract. And even though we identified 10 different areas that Park Place is better than this other organization, based on what the customer is telling us and the questions that we were asking, it still came down to price.
Really?
It's the most frustrating, and it wasn't even that much. It's just the most frustrating thing.
And how do you handle that? Have you found an approach that works around that? Because,
I mean, I would love to hear from you, because at least
this is your interview, man.
I know. I appreciate that. I wish I had a silver bullet, but with this company, I think, at least with me and my experience, there might be some organizations out there that I felt that sales cycle was the best sales cycle that I can run. And it still didn't work. So I think, there's time, with everything in sales, there's times that it works. Well, there's things that doesn't work.
Certainly in the services space, it's always hard to beat an incumbent because there's switching costs.
Yes.
Even if it's just introductory meetings, even if it's just, passing the baton.
Yes.
That's a risk. It's a cost to them. So,
and that saved me before, actually, on some deals, where the customer said, yeah, they've got a 20%, vendor switching costs, and I knew that we were going to be okay.
Yeah. And so, is it competitiveness? Is it the hunt and the kill? Is it the being able to push through walls?
I think it's, it's the hunt to kill. There's definitely a pride aspect to it. I want to be the best. I want to be better than my peers. And I think, with that drives, me to outreach, to be the best account manager that I could be to my customers and provide the best customer service, even from me.
And how do you recognize that? How do you view that? Is it income? Is it leaderboard? Is it?
So I think it definitely changed. That's an interesting question, because last year I actually had was a down year for me. But when I look back on it, I'm actually more proud of last year and how I fought through, some of the hardships that were thrown my way, compared to some of the years that I've done, that I've been on the top leaderboard. So I think it definitely is a mixture of both. But I see some of the things that I did last year that I'm really, really proud of, even though the numbers don't necessarily line up with that.
Yeah. And how do you rationalize that? What was it? Things that you learned? Was it things how you handled it?
I think it was really what happened with me last year was my biggest customer is no longer a customer, and that was a really big hit. But it was being able to expand within different business units, with the customers that we're currently working with. It was the focus that I had on new logo prospect customers, some more focus on those than I ever had before. And some of those advancements with those organizations makes me proud. In addition to, I'm still proud of the number that I put up at the end of the year. It was still, it was still better than most. But it just wasn't where I had been the last 3-4 years.
And how did you recover from something like that? Because that is something that people could really have affect them.
It did affect me for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, can't lie. I mean, I was in a rut, for a little bit. But I think rather than becoming a desperate car salesman, type pushy sales guy, and letting the customer see that, oh, Andrew needs this. I needed to check myself and say, do you know what, Andrew, you've been doing this for 5-6 years. You've been successful. Continue to follow that formula. Don't fall outside of that formula. And I think that's what got me through the whole year. I saw, something today, I think that you were talking about, and setting appropriate goals, for yourself. And I did have to adjust my goals slightly, but that helped. That helped drive me throughout the year. And thankfully this, the start of this year has been a good start.
And do you think that was preventable, or was it outside of your control?
It was outside of my control. The customer strategy. So it was something that I knew that was coming for a couple of years. I was hoping that date would have been delayed, and that customer stayed true. But much to my disappointment.
Yeah. And what do you see as kind of your superpower, your unique approach or skill or ability?
I mean, I think it's my personality. I'm myself. When I'm speaking to to customers, I'm a goofy guy, and I like for customers to see that. I mean, there's certainly times that I dial it back depending on what the customer is showing me, and their tone on on the phone or or in person. But my goal is to be myself, and for the customer to see that and trust me, because I'm a genuine person, and people can trust genuine people.
And how do you show that? Because like a lot of people put the sales voice on. They have the uptone.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Andrew, right?
Well, but I think that's my tone all the time.
No, I mean you're
always selling.
You're kind of even keeled.
Well, I appreciate that.
I haven't seen Goofy yet. When's that come out?
It's all the laughing.
Yeah. Well, laughing's contagious.
Fair.
So is a smile.
Yes.
Right.
But that's me, I guess. And I mean, how do I deliver that to the customer? I mean, I think I can be myself, be laughing, kind of be a little bit goofy, but in between all of that is confidence and knowledge, about the product that I am providing them, and making that if Mr. Customer is trying to accomplish XYZ, I'm coming back and providing solutions. So it isn't always a happy smiley face, and business is business, but I think what customers trust about me is that they see me following through, they see me providing good information.
Yeah.
And then at the back end, it's developing a relationship and having fun, because this job sucks if you're not having fun.
Right. I mean, because they either got to want to talk to you or enjoy talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you got both, great, but you need
Perfect.
at least one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And the challenge in your space is the want to has to be backed up by you knowing enough about their world and their problems to help them.
Yeah.
How do you stay current in that? Because that's a morass in your space.
So yeah, in terms of what that customer, I mean, that's where all the prospecting takes place. Oh. You know, you're for me, it's constantly prospecting and trying to gather information about a customer. The meeting that I had with the customer that earlier last week that I've been trying to get a meeting with for 5 years was a culmination of events, conversations, meetings with other people over the course of the last, 3-4 years. But yeah. But I think getting that information, making sure that it's relevant to them, and then presenting them that information is ultimately what got me the call, and identifying a potential opportunity.
Because a lot of people look at it as, just pound that one person, as opposed to, I just had an interview with a lady called it, breadcrumbs do turn into bread if you get enough of them.
Yeah.
Great analogy, right?
Yeah. It's I mean, there's multiple people. There's always somebody to call within the organization.
That's it. And
there's always somebody to try to connect with. Yeah.
Right. And Mr. Big Cheese or Mrs. Big Cheese, if you can put those breadcrumbs into a loaf of bread for them, then you're not a rep. You're somebody of value within their network.
Exactly.
So, and what's kept you at the same company for such a long period of time? It's unusual.
I mean, it's a great company. Yeah. I have enjoyed working with them. The people that I've met and the people that they recruit are high quality. A lot of them are my friends, to be fair. Yeah. I think, aside, from the culture aspect, it has been an exciting ride with them. We started out when I joined, it was like $100 million company, and now we're upwards to 500, and we just acquired our biggest competitor. So, from a sales perspective, what better organization to be a part of that's growing, and gaining market share.
And how do you get better? Do you have a particular process or?
Harsh feedback from my VP manager. No, I mean, we obviously we have sales. We do trainings, but I think I like to learn from people who are better than me. Yeah. Like I appreciate the guys who nominated me to be on this podcast, but I look up to other people, and to be able to pick their brains, or listen, to how they would deal with a certain situation, bounce ideas back and forth, just the collaboration in general. That's how I've gotten better, I think, as a salesperson over the years. And I don't consider myself to be the best salesperson. I definitely have a lot of room to grow. And
is it the love of winning or the hate of losing that motivates you most?
It's winning. Yeah, it's not losing. I think losing is a negative mentality in general, just even having that thought. And for me, it's always about having a positive mindset.
Yeah. And where do you want to take your career?
That's a good question. So I'm 27. People have asked me, going to management or, whatever. And I tried some of that in college and I just never saw myself as a good manager, to be honest. I think I'm a good leader. I think I think people, listen to me, but I do enjoy being an individual contributor. So I think at least like for me and where I want to go is I wanted to continue to diversify, my technology, sales skills. I think that's where I'm at with my career.
And what do you think the most important lesson was coming up in sales? Was there a particular epiphany where somebody just either banged you on the head or the lights went on and your game went to the next level?
That's, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think that I turned a corner. Yes. Okay. I'm thinking about it now. I think it was early on in the sales career, and knowing that, despite all, the dials that I was making, all the, the metrics, that I was hitting, I wasn't anything, to be amount of until I actually closed the deal. And that at the end of the day is what we were graded on. And I think, I think that was a good lesson, early on, that, metrics and everything, you might be hitting those, but they don't really mean anything until you close the deal.
Right.
And then close the deal and hit your quota and actually exceed those goals.
That's a good one. Cool. Hey, appreciate your time today. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
They could connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to. Andrew Freem. It's a different spelling. Pfriem as a Marion. Happy to follow me on Twitter, Freem Supreme. I appreciate your time, Brian.